Hayward Council chamber aboard the Nexus Prime fell silent as General Marcus Chen entered, his worn combat boots echoing against the crystalline floor. Around the circular table sat representatives from 7 different species, each one regarding the human with expressions ranging from mild curiosity to barely concealed disdain. Admiral Zexthok of the Valorian fleet clicked his mandibles in what passed for amusement among his insectoid people. "Ah, the human arrives. Tell me, General Chen, how does your species propose to defeat the Devourer swarm when our combined fleets have failed for 3 cycles? Chen pulled out a battered tablet and placed it on the table. The holographic display showed the current tactical situation: 17 systems already consumed, millions of ships lost, and the relentless advance of the biomechanical horror known as the Devourers. "With respect, Admiral," Chen began, his voice steady, "your fleets haven't failed because they lack firepower. They've failed because you're fighting like civilized beings against an enemy that isn't." General Korthak of the Bruthan war clans slammed his massive fist on the table, causing several smaller aliens to flinch. "You dare question our honor, Softskin? My warriors have conquered a dozen star systems." "And how did those conquests go?" Chen asked, tapping his tablet. The display shifted to show footage from recent Bruthan campaigns. "Your forces advance in perfect formation, engage in honorable combat, and retreat when casualties reach acceptable levels. Very noble, very predictable." The ethereal representative, Speaker Velnara, floated slightly above her chair, her translucent form shimmering with agitation. "The human speaks of dishonor as if it were virtue. Our ways have maintained peace for millennia." Chen nodded respectfully. "Your ways work perfectly against rational opponents who share your values. But the Devourers don't care about honor, treaties, or acceptable losses. They care about one thing: consuming everything in their path." He stood and began pacing around the table, his movements drawing the attention of every being present. "On Earth, we had a saying: all warfare is based on deception. We learned early that survival doesn't care about fair play." "Primitive philosophy," sneered Commander Ixtala of the Precision Coalition, her cybernetic implants whirring softly. "Calculated aggression yields optimal results. Our combat algorithms account for every variable." "Except the human variable," Chen said with a slight smile. "Your algorithms assume rational actors making optimal choices. Humans aren't always rational, and we rarely make optimal choices. Sometimes we make impossible ones." The hologram shifted to show Chen's proposed battle plan. The alien commanders leaned forward, their various eyes, sensors, and optical organs focusing on the display. "This is chaotic," whispered Negotiator Prime of the Harmony Collective, his forearms gesturing in distress. "There's no logical pattern, no clear objective." "Exactly," Chen said. "We're going to hit them where they don't expect it, when they don't expect it, and with tactics that make no sense to a logical mind." He highlighted several points on the map. Feints within feints, sacrificial gambits that aren't actually sacrificial, and retreats that are advances in disguise. Admiral Zexthok's compound eyes glittered. "Madness. Controlled madness," Chen corrected. "The kind that kept humanity alive when we were prey animals on a world full of predators." The debate that followed was fierce. Each species had their objections, their concerns, their superior alternatives. But as the hours passed and conventional strategies continued to fail against the Devourer's advance, something remarkable happened. First, it was Commander Ixtala who quietly began running simulations based on Chen's chaotic parameters. Her precise logical mind found itself fascinated by the controlled unpredictability of human tactics. Then General Korthak, despite his earlier protests, started seeing the brutal elegance in humanity's willingness to take calculated risks that would seem insane to others. Speaker Velnara began incorporating human deception techniques into her people's traditionally straightforward approach, finding that misdirection could be its own form of art. By the time the battle commenced, something unprecedented had occurred. Not only had the alien commanders accepted human tactical doctrine, but their forces had begun requesting assignment under human officers. The battle itself became legend. Chen's seemingly random deployment of mixed-species task forces confused the Devourer's adaptive algorithms. The coordinated retreat that was actually a complex flanking maneuver. The sacrificial charge that turned out to be a perfectly timed distraction for the real assault. Most importantly, the moment when Admiral Zexthok's elite squadron, following human tactical doctrine, executed a maneuver so audacious that it bypassed the Devourer's primary defenses entirely. When the dust settled and the Devourer fleet lay in ruins, the alien commanders found themselves looking at warfare through entirely new eyes. They had not just adopted human tactics. They had learned to think like humans when survival demanded it. In the aftermath, as the combined fleets regrouped, Admiral Zexthok approached Chen with something approaching respect. "Your species fights as if death is not the worst outcome." Chen considered this carefully. "For humans, there are things worth more than individual survival. That makes us dangerous to enemies and valuable to allies." "Indeed," Zexthok clicked thoughtfully. "Perhaps that is why, when faced with extinction, we found ourselves not just following human tactics but thinking human thoughts." General Korthak overheard and rumbled his agreement. "In the heat of battle, following your orders felt natural, as if we had finally remembered something our species had forgotten in our pursuit of civilization." As the fleet prepared for the next phase of the campaign, a new doctrine spread through the alien military structures. Not just the tactics themselves, but the mindset behind them, the willingness to think beyond conventional wisdom, to embrace controlled chaos, and to remember that sometimes the most logical thing to do is to be completely illogical. The humans had not just won a battle. They had taught an entire galaxy how to think like survivors. And in the vast darkness of space where new threats always emerged, that lesson would prove invaluable for generations to come.